I remember when Assassin's Creed first came out, there was a lot of discussions in games magazines, and yeah, there were still some decent games magazines worth reading back then. They were on their way out, but there were still some, and they took to speculating about which historical settings they would like to see for future Assassin's Creed games. Feudal Japan was high on a lot of people's wish lists, and it's taken about 18 years, but we finally got feudal Japan. And man, did we get feudal Japan! We got too much feudal Japan. We got more feudal Japan than we needed in any one Assassin's Creed game. So here are my thoughts on Assassin's Creed Shadows after 80 hours and seeing the credits roll. First off, the game looks phenomenal. The environment is gorgeous and it runs smooth. It's really well polished, well presented, very high standard of production, which it should be given the massive studio and massive budget that it had. It's the least Assassin's Creedy Assassin's Creed game so far, especially when you're playing as Yasuke. There's nothing in the main story about the Animus or Abstergo. There's no modern day character in the Animus, at least not that we know of. There's nothing about the Isu or the precursors. The plot only really reveals the Assassin and Templar orders towards the end. And so for the most part, even when you're playing as Naue, who is an assassin, the game feels just like an open world hack and slash set in Japan, rather than an Assassin's Creed game. The gameplay is good though. The climbing, the stealth and assassination kills are all there. The combat is pretty simple. It's fun, but very basic. It's just button mash dodge, button mash parry, button mash usability. That pretty much got me through the whole game. Naue and Yasuke are very different styles, as you probably expect. If you want the classic assassin experience, like sneaking around on rooftops and performing aerial assassinations, then you play as Naue. But if you want to just kick the front door down, fight everyone in sight, then play as Yasuke. Both are good, both have their place, and it's nice to be able to switch between the two as you please when you feel like a change. The progression system isn't so good though. The skill tree's very basic. They can give you some useful abilities and some cool attacks, but most of the passive nodes are just boring X% increase to Y sort of thing. It's necessary to improve your offense and make you more potent in combat, but it's pretty dull. Some things seem like abilities that you really ought to have by default as well. I mean, like playing as a shinobi, and I got to spend skill points to get to use shuriken or smoke bombs. Doesn't seem right. The weapon and equipment stats and upgrades for them are also pretty dull. Loads of X% increases as well, and it can be pretty confusing because there's a ton of stuff and you're never sure what's better. I mean, what's better out of 4% armor damage or 4% armor piercing? 10% damage when health is full or 10% damage when health is critical? They all seemed equally useless to me, so I just went with whatever was weapon DPS or health, as they both seem like they do something tangibly good. There's a few like interesting engravings you can put on your weapon that might actually affect your playstyle. It's the closest thing you can get to making a build, but I wouldn't even go so far as to call it a build. There's not much variety in how you make your character. You basically just decide what weapons you're going to use, and that's usually the one you've got that does the most damage. Or maybe the weapons that you have the most fun with, or that you want to role play with, if that's your thing. But you can change your skill points at any time with no cost. So if you've been using a katana, but you get a good naginata or something like that, and you want to switch, you can just change the skill points from the katana to naginata and you can crack on. If you get a set of gear that you like, you can keep it current by upgrading it as you level, but I found that I was always running out of money doing that because it cost quite a bit and money wasn't exactly flowing in, so I ended up pretty much just not doing that after a while and just equipping the best stuff that I got, and going with that. The plot can get pretty complicated. The game introduces a ton of characters, all the lords of all the clans, their brothers, their sisters, their children, their third cousin twice removed. There's retainers and monks and priests and peasants. They're all backstabbing each other, shifting loyalties, and it gets hard to keep up. But I think that pretty well reflects the politics and social upheaval of the Sengoku period of warring states. It's even in a period that I was a bit familiar with from other media, other films and comics and even historical documentaries I've seen. But man, it is a complicated time and there are a lot of threads to keep track of. Perhaps the labyrinthine plot is one reason that there's so much dialogue, like way too much dialogue. The game's script needed a trim. Man, it needed a buzz cut, a full-on Full Metal Jacket opening style buzz cut. There's so much walking and talking in the game. The quests go like you travel somewhere to start the quest, you talk with someone for a bit, get somewhere, talk a bit more, actually start the quest, go back, talk a bit more, and then maybe it ends, or maybe you have to go on and do something else. The quest could have just started where you actually do the quest, but there's always this period where you have to relocate for some reason from where you actually met the NPC. It seems like an absolute waste of time, and it happens all the time. The cutscenes are overly long and they take too long to get to the point or to develop the plot. There's too many of them. They never missed an opportunity for a 3-minute cutscene when, just a quick bit of dialogue would have done the trick at the end when you talk to an NPC or something. But it seems like they wanted to spend money on cutscenes and time on cutscenes, and now you've got to spend the time to watch them. I watched them all and listened to all the talk because this was my first playthrough and I just wanted to get it all. But I'll admit the voice acting was high quality and the writing is good, and obviously some of it's necessary and some of it does drive home the emotions of the characters and the story, but a lot of it is just overindulgent filler. You can only listen to so much talk of honour and loyalty and people waxing lyrical about the seasons or spirits of our ancestors guff before you've had enough and your finger starts itching towards that skip button. I guess if you already know the story or just don't care, you could save many hours off a playtime by skipping as much of that as you can. So the pacing of the game is pretty damn slow, and the amount and length of dialogue and cutscenes is one of the reasons. The other is the sheer size of the map and the number of quests you have to do. I'm not even talking about side quests, I'm talking about main story quests. They just keep going on. Stage after stage, it seems never ending sometimes. Most of the time they don't even give you the start location of the quest. Just a few clues, and you have to use your scouts to pin it down. Like after you've started one, it might develop into multiple lines and subparts, all of which you'll have to travel around to, listen to the usual pre and post quest dialogue for. It just takes ages to do a single quest line, and it doesn't seem like it needs to. Some of them are downright boring too. There's a whole quest line just to participate in a tea ceremony, and while that might be some people's bag, that ain't mine. That could have been a cutscene or just cut completely. One quest had me ride like halfway over the map. I mean, it was absolutely miles. I hadn't been there, so I couldn't fast travel to anywhere near it. I must have been riding for like 3-4 minutes on my horse, full gallop, just to get there and have to go and buy some cooking ingredients from a vendor and go back and make some soup. I mean, that is just a piss take. That is a complete disrespect for my time. Even the action-orientated content seems geared to waste your time. The castles and strongholds get way bigger than they need to be. Some of them have got like 3, 4, even 5 samurai that you have to kill before you can unlock and loot the main chest. The areas can be so big that it's a struggle to even locate them, even when using your eagle vision. It got a real chore. I stopped doing them after a while. Early on, I kind of needed to do that sort of side content because the main story quests were out leveling me. But as soon as I caught up, I pretty much just stuck to the main quest. The amount of side quests just keeps stacking up though. You get like new circles of assassination targets popping up on your objective screen like mushrooms after a rainstorm. Some of the more boring, pointless stuff like gathering butterflies and praying at every shrine, no thank you. I will say that the closer you get to the end game, the more interesting the cutscenes become. The less you feel like you're wasting your time watching them. Yasuke's endgame is particularly good. There's some big fights against dozens of enemies and a very nice boss fight. Naoe's endgame is less fun, but does get more into the Assassin's Creed lore side that's been largely absent up till then. And there's also the daily and weekly guff you get from the live service aspect of the game, and all that can and should be safely ignored. The size of the map is pretty ridiculous. It's way bigger than it needs to be, and I don't think that's an opinion. I think that is pretty objective fact, and I can say that because at the point the credits rolled, there were still huge chunks of that map left unexplored. Whole regions almost untouched, with the only area in that region being discovered is the area where I had to go. I had to ride like 5 minutes for in order to get there to do a single quest. If those areas are undiscovered at the end of the game, then they didn't need to be there in the first place. You could have used probably just like 3 regions of this map and still had all the content you've got. I think it could have been a lot smaller and still everything could have been there. The countryside is huge and it's mostly empty. The game makes you traverse kilometers of it for no good reason. Like I said, the environment looks great, but I don't need to see that much of it. So fat, bloated and stuffed with filler seems to be the only recipe Ubisoft are cooking up at the moment. It makes playing their games like a mixed experience at best. Assassin's Creed Shadows was exactly that, a mixed experience. Potential banger turned into something distinctly mid. So that's my take on Assassin's Creed Shadows. I hope to be uploading videos much more regularly now as I play games and complete them or just have enough of them. So hopefully there'll be at least sort of a couple every month. I'm not sticking to any schedule, but hopefully I'll have some more videos up of more games as I play them. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you later.